Bumiputra economic transformation proposed as new policy to empower the Bumiputra. Ringgit expected to continue strengthening against US dollar by year end. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight. I am Olivia Nicholas. Any member of the cabinet found involved in corrupt practices must be dismissed from their positions to save the country from corruption. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) has been instructed to take action against ministers found involved in such practices.
Saya tanya di parlimen dan di luar parlimen. Beri satu bukti. Menteri, Perdana Menteri sekarang dalam tindakan mereka. Kalau ada yang rasuah, tanya Tan Sri Azam. Saya kata kalau ada, kita siasat, dakwa dan ikut badan kehakiman hukum. Tapi tidak ada. Setahun 3 bulan. Saya salut juga pada rakan-rakan, kita dapat berikan imej pimpinan yang bersih dari rasuah. Peringatan itu jelas. SPRM tidak mungkin mengecualikan siasatan ke atas pimpinan yang ada sekarang atau memantau setiap tender atau keputusan yang dibuat. Nah, kalau ada, saya katakan, jangan tanya saya. Persila ambil tindakan dan orang-orang yang berkenaan wajib digugurkan.
The Prime Minister said this when opening the National Anti-Corruption Summit 2024 today. Datuk Seri Anwar also advised cabinet members to evaluate and scrutinise any approved projects before proceeding to ensure that the process is transparent, clean and potentially cost-effective. He said this was important to save public funds and subsequently return them to the people for mutual benefit. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi today proposed the implementation of Bumiputra Economic Transformation (TEB) as a policy to empower the Bumiputra. He said TEB set 3 main goals, namely socio-economic justice, nation-state sustainability, as well as national prosperity and people's well-being. The Deputy Premier said this is to ensure that the policy and implementation of the national economic agenda not only guarantee the involvement and rights of the Bumiputras, but also ensure their synergy with the non-Bumiputra.
3 matlamat utama yang digariskan menuntut semua kaum bahu-membahu membangunkan negara, menghormati agihan yang adil di samping menerima hakikat usaha untuk memartabatkan penyertaan Bumiputra dalam semua sektor ekonomi adalah dalam kerangka perlembagaan negara.
Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid also said the main goals were set to remove the narrative that the country's economy is dominated by the minority groups, which of course raises anxiety of the majority and ultimately creates social disparity. He said this kind of situation is certainly not healthy for a country that has been developed jointly for more than 6 decades. Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, said through the goal of socio-economic justice, the government wants to ensure Bumiputra participation, ownership and dominance in the economic sector can be empowered. It is also to ensure their participation in new economic and technological opportunities. Adding to that, for the goal of nation-state sustainability, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid emphasized the need for the Bumiputra economic transformation to be a big policy that can stimulate Bumiputra economic growth and attract investments so that the country can build a strong economic foundation for long-term sustainability.
Kongres kali ini mesti mencari solusi, mesti mencari penyelesaian untuk lebih ramai bumi putera berpartisipasi dalam kegiatan keusahawanan, berdikari di dalam menjana pendapatan yang akhirnya akan membawa kepada peningkatan taraf hidup dan kesejahteraan rakyat secara keseluruhannya.
In achieving the three main goals of the Bumiputra economic transformation, several pledges were outlined as pillars for the country to achieve the desired goals. He said the first is to safeguard the existing Bumiputra agenda, while efforts to close the leakage in the implementation of policies and initiatives of the Bumiputra agenda is the second pledge. Among the other pledges include creating equality between regions, races and groups, creating a genuine networking of the Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra economies, and to not marginalize or deny the rights of other races to ensure justice in the country's multiracial society.
A set of policies related to Bumiputra empowerment is expected to be developed in May or June this year. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said this was among the decisions reached during engagements involving representatives from non-governmental organizations and the government before the 2024 Bumiputra Economic Congress today.
According to Rafizi, the policies are expected to produce a positive, progressive and innovative Bumiputra class group, which is in line with the KEB 2024 theme. Meanwhile, Rafizi also said that the government intends to forge cooperation between Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra companies to compete together at the global level.
Because we have to compete with the world. So it's no longer about competing among ourselves, and we have to grow the cake, and so that with a bigger cake, it gives us more muscle for us to compete in a very challenging environment. And for that to happen, growing the cake, growing more muscle, it's common sense that the best opportunity kepada Bumiputra dan bukan Bumiputra is to find that smart and genuine partnership.
The three-day KEB 2024 being held at the Putrajaya International Convention Centre until the 2nd of March involves a presentation of findings from the Business Engagement Session, SLU, covering 10 clusters.
Malaysia-China two-way foreign investment promotion underway. Stay tuned. On to some insights on the ringgit. Finance Minister to Dato Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan says the ringgit is expected to continue to strengthen this year, trading at RM4.50 against the US dollar by year-end, driven by the country's positive economic performance.
The minister noted that coordination between the Finance Ministry and Bank Negara Malaysia, as well as joint efforts between government-linked investment companies, GLCs, and government-linked companies, GLICs, will help to increase inflows into the foreign exchange market to strengthen the value of the ringgit.
Bank Negara sentiasa bersedia mengambil langkah-langkah campur tangan dalam pasaran pertukaran asing untuk membendung pergerakan mata wang yang dianggap berlebihan. Sebagai contoh, BNM akan menjual mata wang US dollar daripada reserve-nya untuk menyekat kelemahan ringgit yang berlebihan.
He said the ringgit's movement is influenced by various factors, and the current depreciation is largely driven by the strengthening of the US dollar and the uncertainty of China's economic growth, which has also affected other regional currencies. He also said BNM will continue to monitor the financial market and take necessary measures, including intervention in the foreign exchange market to curb excessive currency movements. The central bank also monitors the conversion of export proceeds into ringgit by exporting companies, in addition to continuing efforts to encourage the use of the local currency for export settlements to reduce dependence on the movement of the US dollar.
On another note, Dato Sri Amir Hamza said the Employees Provident Fund EPF is expected to announce the Flexible Account or Account 3 initiative in April, including the withdrawal mechanism and flexibility for contributors.
Elaborating, the minister said Account 3 will be explained to contributors after the dividend distribution announcement this Sunday. He said EPF will also clarify how it can be withdrawn and explain the division mechanism of Account 3. Dato Sri Amir Hamza said this in response to a supplementary question from Khairil Nizam Karudin on the status of Account 3, particularly in terms of withdrawal during the question and answer session in the Dewan Rakyat today. He also emphasized that the government is not looking at any targeted withdrawal because this will worsen the issue of insufficient retirement savings. The Deputy Minister noted that the government is not looking at targeted withdrawals because there will be flexibility in Account 3.
The Malaysian government and an important Chinese institution are in advanced stage of negotiations to set up a two-way foreign investment promotion. Trade and Industry Minister Dato Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the aim is to cement a cooperative agreement focused on investment promotion enhancement to bolster investment flows, encouraging Chinese firms to explore opportunities in Malaysia while similarly facilitating Malaysian enterprises to expand into China.
The minister also highlighted that the progress underscores a notable pivot by Chinese cooperation towards Malaysia due to the country's strategic location and conducive business environment.
So the dialogue underscores the notable pivot by Chinese corporations towards Malaysia, attracted by its strategic location and conducive business environment. So we aim to conclude the comprehensive cooperation agreement focusing on foreign investment promotion and enhancements very soon. And we are targeting for this potential partnership to foster investment in high-value sectors.
He said high-value sectors are important to supporting the creation of high-value jobs, which will help to boost the middle-class group that was badly impacted during the pandemic. Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul noted that the top 5 industries that created the highest numbers of managerial, technical and supervisory employment were electrical and electronic, machinery and equipment, non-metallic mineral, as well as fabricated metal and chemicals. Last year, over 30,000 jobs were created within the MTS category, with Malaysians accounting for 91.7% of the individuals hired to fill these roles.
Now, Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil says the advancement of 5G technology in Norwegian maritime operations provided by Telenor Maritime could benefit the Malaysian shipping industry, especially in the oil and gas as well as logistics sector. The minister today visited a state-of-the-art remote operations centre in Horten Harbour, where Telenor Maritime showcased its autonomous vessel and how different communications links, including a private 5G system, connect the vessel to the operation centre. Telenor Maritime provides a high-speed connection in a closed and secure network to Masterly, the world's first company to operate autonomous vessels at sea. According to Fahmi, there are some practical applications of private 5G network usage, particularly involving the operations of autonomous vessels that Malaysian corporations could leverage on. Meanwhile, Telenor Senior Vice President and Deputy Head of Asia Hekon Bruset Hall noted that Malaysia has a lot of experience with strong industries which could make use of such partnerships to succeed in taking the full advantage of 5G. He said to enable this, collaboration among the whole ecosystem is vital. Economy previously said to want to invest in My Airline Sdn Bhd has withdrawn from its intention to do so. Transport Minister Anthony Lok said the company that met him previously had already signed an agreement to invest in My Airline, but it was subject to several conditions in the agreement.
He said among the conditions that the company had to comply with are resolving the issues of salary payment for My Airline employees and refunds to passengers who did not take flights due to the suspension of the airline's operations.
Semalam kita menerima surat daripada syarikat tersebut yang sebelum ini dikatakan nak melabur dalam My Airline. Mereka telah memaklumkan kepada pihak kerajaan melalui surat mereka kepada MEFCOM yang bahawa mereka telah pun membatalkan hasrat tersebut. Mereka telah menamatkan perjanjian itu, maka mereka telah menarik diri daripada hasrat untuk melabur dalam My Airline. Jadi itu keadaannya.
Elaborating further, Lok said it was up to the airline to take any follow-up action, but the company still had to comply with the obligations it faced, namely the issue of payment of employee wages and refunds to passengers. Meanwhile, in a statement today, My Airline said it is in talks with promising new investors after a sudden and unilateral termination of a share purchase agreement by an investor from the Middle East. It added, in respect of this termination, all options are being considered, including possible legal action.
Capital A has announced that it has finalized a $1.15 billion deal to list its brand management unit, Capital A International, CAPI, on the Nasdaq via a merger with a special purpose acquisition company, Ethereum Acquisition Corp.
Group Chief Executive Tan Sri Tony Fernandez said that the listing first announced last year will allow CAPI to access the world's most extensive and liquid capital markets and enhance Capital A's international credibility and presence.
We got to show that we can develop the brand outside of the airline that we own. So stage one will be airlines that we don't own. So the first one is in Bangladesh. Stage two would be to put our brand on products that we don't own, whether it's hospitals, whether it's mobile phone, whether it's hotels. So that's my first few years of what I'll be focused on. I wouldn't be looking at acquiring any brands for the first few years. Building a strong marketing platform.
The deal sees Capital A joining a growing number of Southeast Asian companies seeking listing in the United States, which are looking to fill part of the void left by Chinese companies that have paused US IPOs amid political tensions with Washington. Both Capital A and long-haul unit Air Asia X Berhad have undergone restructuring after being classified as financially distressed due to pandemic travel restrictions. Air Asia X was removed from the classification in November after undertaking measures to improve its financial position, while Capital A has said it hopes to present a regulation plan to the bourse by June.
Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, or MAHB, has welcomed 5 new international airlines flying to Malaysia in January and February, offering travellers more connectivity options and strengthening the position of the country's airports as a hub within the region.
MAHB, through a statement released, said that among the new flights serving the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA are Air Macau from Macau, Lung Air from Hangzhou, Turkmenistan Airlines from Ashgabat, and Iraqi Airways to Baghdad. Acting Group Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Rastam Sharum meanwhile said the airport operator has seen a significant increase in the air traffic owing to proactive strategic route development initiative implemented post-pandemic. Over this year and the next, he noted that MAHB has identified 17 potential airlines from 7 distinct regions to operate in Malaysia. The local network of airports operated by the group recorded 6.9 million total passengers passenger movements last month, reaching 83% of 2019 levels. While the international traffic captured 3.8 million passenger movements and the domestic sector accounted for 3.1 million passenger movements.
MAHB's net profit also increased to 543.17 million ringgit in the financial year and 31st of December 2023 from 187.20 million ringgit in 2022 on the back of the higher revenue.
The improvement in earnings was also attributed to an increase in other income and share of profit from associates and joint ventures, coupled with a higher gain on fair value of investment in GMR Hyderabad International Airport Limited recorded in the year under review. Revenue surged 57.2% to 4.91 billion ringgit in tandem with the increase in passenger movements. MAHB said Malaysia operations experienced a significant improvement in passenger traffic, reaching 81.9 million passengers compared to 52.7 million passengers in the prior year. Going forward, MAHB said its prospects remain favorable, supported by passenger traffic growth and further strengthened by the group's ongoing strategy in enhancing its airline and hub connectivity, rejuvenating commercial and retail spaces, as well as accelerating off-terminal opportunities.
The real estate market is expected to continue to exhibit resilience, with certain segments to demonstrate sustainable growth. Global Commercial, Real Estate and Investment Management Company, JLL, said this positive trend is likely to be supported by stable macroeconomic growth, financial market stability, strong domestic demand, technological advancement and relevant measures implemented in the industry.
JLL Malaysia Research and Consultancy head Yulia Nicolaicheva said investors are displaying a more positive outlook towards the Malaysian real estate market, driven by the favorable dynamics and robust recovery witnessed over the past 6 quarters. Their primary focus, nevertheless, continues to be on 3 core segments with the highest growth potential: residential, logistics and industrial, and data centers. While the company has maintained a positive future outlook, it also recognizes certain risks that can potentially impact negatively market performance. In anticipation of these risks, he said the Malaysian government is taking proactive measures to boost the national economy's competitiveness. This includes making strategic investments in the digital segment and introducing additional incentives to attract more foreign direct investments into the country.
Malaysia has a long-standing diplomatic and investment relationship with the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Dr. Mubarak Said Al-Dahiri, the ambassador to Malaysia, has stated that Malaysia's tolerant values and close relationship will have a positive impact on the international investment scene for both countries.
Our trade is reaching $8.8 billion, which is good, and we are targeting to increase this value of trade and the economic partnership with the private sectors. There is a lot of business will be in green energy and the other sectors we are focusing in, like health sector and others.
During the Selamat Pagi Malaysia program at Angkasa Puri earlier today, the UAE ambassador to Malaysia emphasized the close relationship between the leaders of both countries. He said the leaders often visit each other to strengthen ties and enhance economic opportunities through trade and investments of both countries.
Moving on, Malaysia's economy is expected to improve in the near term, supported by resilient domestic demand and stable labour market conditions, according to Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Muhammad Uzir Mahidin. The leading index LI showed a 0.3% year-on-year growth to reach 110.1 points in December 2023 compared to 109.8 points in December 2022.
The notable rebound marked the first instance of positive growth following 9 consecutive months of decline, largely propelled by a significant surge of 41.5% in the number of housing units approved. Elaborating further, the chief statistician said Malaysia's economy grew by 3.0% in the fourth quarter of 2023, slightly slower than the 3.3% growth registered in the third quarter. The Industrial Production Index IPI rose by 1.0% year-on-year despite the sales value of the manufacturing sector contracting by 2.7% year-on-year to 461.5 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, the revenue of the services sector registered at 6.6% year-on-year growth, reaching 591.4 billion ringgit. In terms of prices, the Consumer Price Index CPI eased to 1.6% year-on-year, while the Producer Price Index PPI stood at negative 1.0%.
Foreign front, Thailand to ban recreational cannabis use. That and more right after this. Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg met South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol in Seoul and discussed cooperation on AI and ways to prevent fake news circulation ahead of key elections. Zuckerberg is on a mini tour of Asia that has included a stop in Japan, plus a 3-day visit to Seoul where he met business leaders from electronic giants Samsung and LG.
Yoon and Zuckerberg discussed cooperation between South Korean companies and Meta, as well as the vision to create an AI digital ecosystem. The official said Yoon emphasized South Korean companies' top place in the memory market for AI systems and asked Zuckerberg to forge close cooperations with them. Yoon stressed that South Korea, with its diverse portfolio of smart electronics, wearable devices and smart cars, can become an outstanding platform to apply Facebook parent Meta's artificial intelligence. In light of major elections globally this year, Yoon asked the Meta chief to pay special attention to monitoring and preventing fake news on his platform. Meta was one of 20 major tech firms, including OpenAI, to sign a pledge this month to crack down on AI content intended to deceive voters ahead of elections around the world this year.
Thailand will ban recreational use of marijuana by the end of this year, but continue to allow its use for medical purposes. In an interview with Reuters, Thai Health Minister Cholnan Srikao told Reuters said that cannabis has to be controlled, meaning that the production, import, export or processing will require permission.
Cannabis shops that operate illegally will not be allowed to continue, while homegrown cannabis will also be discouraged, added Cholnan, who put the number of legally registered shops at 20,000. The draft law specifies a fine of up to 60,000 baht for recreational use, while those selling cannabis for such use and participating in advertisement or marketing of buds, resin, extract or smoking devices face jail term of up to a year or a fine up to 200,000 baht or both. It also toughens punishment for cannabis farming without a license, with jail terms ranging from 1 to 3 years and fines from 20,000 baht to 300,000 baht. The draft bill will go to Cabinet for approval next month before heading to Parliament to be passed before the end of the year.
That concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, Bumiputra economic transformation proposed as new policy to empower the Bumiputra. Do tune in today to Well Today, coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Olivia Nicholas. Thank you for watching.